22nd of April 2020. My name is Sergey Baklykov. My video blog this is, and it's keep grooving on even in the period of coronavirus quarantine. Due to your numerous requests, now here in Saint Petersburg, Russia, I'm gonna show you how it's going here. And if my previous video was made just in my neighborhood where I live, in the central district of the city, now I came to Nevsky Prospect, Nevsky Avenue, which is the main streets of the historical city center of Saint Petersburg. Let's get it started. This is the very beginning of Nevsky Prospect. It starts here, next to the building of an admiralty. This is the Admiralty, and this is Nevsky Avenue, house number 1. Lots of cars, because today I was watching an index of self-isolation in Saint Petersburg, and it went down to 2.5 out of 10. Where 10 means that all the people are following for self-isolation rules, and 1, like, nobody cares. You know, 2 weeks ago, here was a moment when an index of self-isolation was pretty big. Like, yeah, people really were sitting at home being scared, because exactly 2 weeks ago the pandemic really came to Russia. But, you know, our psychology, the human's psychology, is so that, well, at first we're shocked, but then we're getting used to even such shits like coronavirus pandemic. Even when thousands of people are dying every day all over the world. By the way, for today, here in Russia, officially registered 58,000 people as infected with coronavirus. 513 people recently died. It's in Russia in general. If you talk about Saint Petersburg in particular, almost 2,300 people are infected, and 14 people died in Saint Petersburg so far. The building which is known as the House of Air Float, also the House of Wawelberg. It's not typical for Saint Petersburg because it's like black. This is the northern city, not too many sunny days. For this reason, Peter I, he gave a decree for the buildings to be in a bright colors. And actually it was not allowed, prohibited to make the buildings black. But then it was allowed, but the owner of the building had to pay a higher tax. Look, this is the memorial, which is like the real memorial back in the days of Great Patriotic War. Here was a lot of such letterings. Граждане, при артобстреле эта сторона улицы наиболее опасна. Citizens, while shelling this side of the street is the most dangerous, because shellings went from that side. I was making a separate video about it like a year ago, or maybe more. As I told you, an index of self-isolation is only 2.5 out of 10 today, so many cars. And well, I can say that in this situation, many people in the streets, many couriers. Now this is definitely a sunrise of delivery services. Not only in Russia, but I guess all over the world. Nowadays I see the couriers, like this one. The yellow ones, it's Yandex Food. All over, all the time now. Even in a normal, regular time, a lot of them, now even more. Lots of cars. Burger King works for delivery only. But this one is closed at all. Now we came to the first river, one of 3 rivers which are intersecting Nevsky Prospect. It's Moika and the bridge over Moika River. But now here goes the maintenance. They renovate, reconstruct the pipes and all the stuff, the communications. This is Литературное cafe, literary cafe. I was making the video about this cafe together with Ronald, if you remember. It was exactly like a year ago. Yeah, that's where from a great Russian poet and writer Alexander Pushkin went to the duel where he was damaged and actually murdered. And that's also where, by the legend, the great Russian composer Pyotr Tchaikovsky, when he asked for a raw water, he got infected and died just during 3 days after he got an infection. This is a Stroganov Palace. Yeah, exactly that Stroganov who have the relation to beef Stroganov. Okay, let's see what's there. So there's Moika River. The Central Library of Saint Petersburg and Zenit, the official store of football club Zenit, which is the champion of Russia in a Russian football Premier League, now also closed. And what about the Central Public Library? I was making the video here like maybe several months ago as well. It's now really so curious to see that so many places I already like filmed, and I really miss now those days, pre-coronavirus days, when I was just making a normal videos where there is just a normal story. It's about any event, place, or about people, person, the story which is filmed in a good way, in a cinematic way, the way I love. And now I just have to walk here in a half-empty city during quarantine and just walk like an idiot with just a camera, just film non-stop what happens, because I can't go normally anywhere. Большая конюшина, like a big horse barn, horse stalls, street, because if you will keep going this way, you will stuck right into the former emperor's horse stall. And that's the street where it's located. That's the most famous Soviet пышечная, where they are making пышки, puffs, or donuts, but they are not really donuts. That's the place where I have been together with Mark Wins, if you remember. Mark Wins, the king of food blogging on YouTube, with over 5 million subscribers. That was real fun. It's a pharmacy. It works 24 hours. Let me remind you once again that nowadays still it's available. It's allowed to work only for the grocery stores and pharmacies. As we can see, the public transportation works in a limited way. Look, it's almost empty, but still it works. Because, you know, many companies, enterprises, they keep working. Those ones which are like life important, which are important to keep the life in this city supported on at least a minimal better level. Well, all the souvenir stores are now really like having problems because they all are closed. Here is no tourists. They are not selling anything already for like a month. One of the most significant sightseeings in Saint Petersburg, Kazan Cathedral. Yeah, baby. Architected with Russian architect Andrei Voronichin. It's a small horse-stalled street, pedestrian streets, where there's the monument to Nikolai Gogol. Probably you can see this pretty well through this super wide angle lens. I use super wide angle lens, which is Panasonic 18 millimeters. So that's why you see everything so wide and without too much of extortions on the angles, because this is a really quality lens. Expensive one, but it's worth that. The composer Northern Lira, it's also not working, and this is the biggest music shit store in Russia and the all former Soviet Union. The House of Zinger, which is the bookstore now. It's not working. And there on the top floor, there's an office of VK.com. VK, this is the biggest social network in Russia. VK. It was created as an analog of Facebook by Russian programmers from Saint Petersburg and the head of Pavel Durov. He is also the creator of Telegram. And Pavel Durov is one of those guys who has a talent to make copies which are like better than the originals. For example, he made VK.com, and it is definitely it's better than Facebook, at least for Russians, because he knows to which interface Russians got used to. And from the point of the habits of Russians, VK.com really made better than Facebook. And Telegram is actually like WhatsApp, but it's better than WhatsApp because it supports the bots, it supports the creation of channels, groups, and many other stuff. That's, by the way, the second canal, river canal, which is intersecting Nevsky Prospect, Griboyedov Canal. And there, in the In the background, that's Church of Christ the Savior. And this is the small hall of State Saint Petersburg Philharmonic. Usually here all the time perform the street musicians. They perform here all the time. Now nobody, no street performers here. And look, the entrance to Nevsky Prospect metro station is closed. Some entrances for the metro stations are closed now, but metro, the subway, keep working. They said that it's impossible to just stop the metro, because then to launch it again, it's not like just to turn on some tumblers and keep it working again. No, it's a huge process. And it's better to keep it running, at least somehow, than to shut it down. That's the tower of City Duma, the historical building. And next to City Duma, there goes Гостиный двор, the guest yard. It's like the 18th century kind of mall, and it's really like a mall. Also, it's known like торговые ряды, trading rows, and really there's like a rows where the merchants were staying and were selling their stuff. Now it's about the same, but it just more looks like a boutiques inside. Many different kinds of churches here in Saint Petersburg, everywhere. By the way, Nevsky, it goes all the way and on a distance of 5 kilometers from the Admiralty to Saint Trinity Alexander Nevsky Church, Lavra, where it's also located the cemetery, which is called Necropolis of Art Masters, and there's buried Pyotr Tchaikovsky, the great Russian composer Pyotr Tchaikovsky. And of course, I also was filming a separate video about that. Гостиный двор. And for the reason, here is Duma, the street which is here. It's called Думская Street, and now it's one of the most scandalous streets in the city, because here is located a lot of nightclubs, street clubs and stuff like that. The city services keeps working as well. Well, coronavirus is coronavirus, but the city have to be cleaned. Думская, one of the most scandalous streets. Yeah, if you're looking for troubles, you came to the right place. Yeah, if you maybe want troubles, you come here at night. Go into the club, get drunk, and probably you will have problems. Mikhailovskaya Street, it's a Grand Hotel Europe. One of the most luxury hotels. And there's the monument to Alexander Pushkin. And right in front of us, there's the yellow building with columns. That's a Russian museum, Русский музей. Okay, here is Гостиный двор, the guest yard. even those relatively a lot of cars and transportation. Anyway, it's significantly way less than usually, especially if to consider that now it's lunchtime, Wednesday lunchtime, 22nd of April today. Let me remind you. Look, almost empty sidewalks of Nevsky. Here is in the center of, in the center next to the main entrance to Гостиный двор, and nobody there, and that's another one of the most popular points for street musicians. Now nobody there. Eurasia. It's a big chain of restaurants, now closed. And Stolova number one, canteen number one of the most affordable places to eat for people. It's also closed. They even have the windows covered. We will win coronavirus. Stay home, they say here. Bukvayet, it's like letter eater, the big bookstore. It's the biggest chain of bookstores in Saint Petersburg and Saint Petersburg region. Also closed, and also I filmed the video here. That's Passage. It's a shopping arcade. It's like a Saint Petersburg version of GUM department store in Moscow. Also frigging closed. Passage since 1848. Pedestrian underpass. Usually there's a lot of kiosks are working. The guys are selling different, mostly souvenir stuff. Let's see what it is there now. Everything closed. Everything closed. We are already getting close to Malé Sadové, small garden street, and Елисеевский store. Yeliseyev Brothers store. Yeliseyevs, already back then, those brothers are created such a luxury store. Now we'll get closer to this. Another Stolova number one, which is also closed. Alexandrinsky Theater there with the monument to Catherine the Great, made by the same sculptor who made the monument to the Millennium of Russia. And on the background there's Alexandrinsky Theater, it's like Alexander's Theater. So it's a small garden street here, and famous Yeliseyev Brothers store. Yeah, boy. A luxury store of the beginning of 20th century. Oops, somebody got a nap. Okay. United Colors of Benetton, Clothes Boutique, closed. Now it's really a problem for people to buy the new clothes, unless they are ready to order online. But let's say in terms of clothes, I personally don't really like to order the clothes from internet, because there is a big chance that it will not fit you pretty well. I know that you actually can send it back after all and wait for another sizes, but still. Aurora movie theater. All the movie theaters are not working as well now. Here had to be the premiere of the movie about USSR football player, famous football player Streltsov. Now you see the date of the premiere just hidden under the paper because it's cancelled. One of the historical phone booths. Ivan and Maria Russian Cuisine Gastropub. It's a nice place on Nevsky. Closed now. Here is some quarantine propaganda. Self-isolation is not just a word. It saves the lives. It says Maxim Kabanov, the doctor. By the way, one of the most busy bus routes in Saint Petersburg was the bus number 39. Because this is the bus which has delivered the people to the airport, and now it is vice versa. One of the most not busy, because all the foreign flights are cancelled and the domestic flights are reduced to 90%. So only like no more than 10% of flights, domestic flights, are still available. It's a Russian pub, which is called Siberian Corona. It's good that not a coronavirus. Sibirskaya Corona, Siberian Corona. And now we came to the third river, which is intersect Nevsky Prospect. It's Fontanka River, and one of the most popular bridges of Saint Petersburg, which is called Anichkov Bridge, with those sculptures of a human and a horse. That's Fontanka River. If it would be normal now, here already we would see a lot of ferries, and the river boats, cruises, would already start their navigation. But now it's still just a river, just embankments. We don't see any ferries here. And look, that's where it's located, Sheremetyev Palace. The Museum of Music, and that's where I in December I droned my drone there, but if somebody lost a track on it, with the help of a diver, I've got it back, and then with your assistance I recovered this, and the drone is still working, and working pretty well. This is Belozerskih Palace. I filmed here in November. There was the festival of young violinists, and it was nice. But in the same time, here is also located the administration of the matters of the President of Russia. It's located in this building. Many of you all the time tells that you are, how to say, absolutely adored with how clean seems Saint Petersburg. Well, that's because you see, even now, even during quarantine, they clean it all the time. McDonald's on the intersection of Nevsky and Rubinstein streets. It works only for a delivery. You see, you can't get inside, but there's a lot of couriers are staying. Rubinstein Street. This is the most restaurant streets, not only in Saint Petersburg, not only in Russia, but in the whole Europe. I also was filming the video about it, like a detailed video. This is the streets where absolutely on every step there's bars, pubs, cafe, and restaurants. Well, the people who are living in these buildings, they are not happy about it, and all the time asking the governments to shut it down. Because look, the business here usually takes only the first floors of the residential buildings, but in all the floors higher, the people, just regular people, are living. And they are not happy that at nights, when people already get drunk, they are pretty loud. Oh, look, MTS working. MTS, it's one of 3 leading companies, mobile operators in Russia. It works. So you can buy. Здравствуйте. Вы приравнены к компаниям жизненной необходимости. So he said that they are into first need companies. If you need an iPhone, you can buy this. Спасибо. Radisson Royal Hotel. I also filmed there inside. Vladimirsky Prospect, which is here turns into Liteyny Prospect. Mostly, this is actually for the first time when I see the police in the streets, and even it's not even like a police, but it's more like a road police. Radisson Royal Hotel. Look, this guy is successfully committed a douchebaggery. Freaking douchebag. He parks right on the sidewalk. Cyclists, Burger King, Corinthia Hotel. Look, in Russia, here are two leading companies, delivery companies. It's Yandex Food, which has yellow costumes, uniforms, and Delivery Club, which has a green uniform. But this is Delivery Club. Delivery Club. And look, this pink rabbit, he promotes an intimate store. Sex shop, actually. Well, maybe not a big deal. People sitting at home, staying home. What else they have to do? It's one of the things they can do to entertain. And with the new toys, it may be more entertaining, right? Right? It's good that they have enough of amount of buses that there's not many people inside. I believe they are reduced the amount of buses online, but not lower than 4 people, just then pack into limited amount of buses, which is pretty wise. Intersection with Vladimir Mayakovsky Street. He's one of the most significant Soviet writers and poets, I would say, Mayakovskaya. And that's why there, on a corner of this building, there's the entrance to Mayakovskaya metro station. Green line of Saint Petersburg metro. It's a Grizzly. It's actually the biggest steak and burger bar. Really. When you go there, it's so long. It's really long bar. Apteka, which is a pharmacy, drugstore. It works. Vienna coffee shop. Coffee, food, wine. Works only for coffee to go now. Coffee to go. It's Marata Street, Улица Marata. Marat, he used to be a French revolutionary. There at Marata Street, house number 9, the building where Dmitry Shostakovich, one of the most significant Russian composers, lived when he was young. But what's good in this lockdown, if I can say so, here is no any annoying promoters like every 100 meters. But again, you know, I would better prefer all of those annoying promoters to get back, but it would be just the normal regular days of this city, then no promoters, but the self-isolation regime, and nothing works. So now I realize that is not really one of those biggest things I have to complain about. Pushkinskaya Street. But by the way, you guys, when I used to show Nevsky before, was telling like, hey, where is the trees? But you guys have to understand that this is the center of a big city, the second biggest city of Russia with a population of 5 million people. This is the main street and like one of the main arterials. So here is just not enough of place for a trees. Here in the central districts we have a parks You can go to, let's say, Tavrический Sad, Tavrический Garden, or to Mikhailovsky Garden. But exactly this is an avenue. It's same as in New York, on Manhattan. When I've been to Manhattan, I remember that mostly the trees have only so-called Park Avenue. So you can find the trees in Saint Petersburg, but do not try to find it in the main transportation artery of the city. It's Площадь Восстания, the square of revolt, or the square of uprising, Восстания Street. That's already my neighborhood, and that's the street where my daughter's school is located. It's the entrance to the metro station, which is called Площадь Восстания, the red line of Saint Petersburg metro. It's just the entrance to the metro station. That's how it looks like. This is already my neighborhood. Площадь Восстания. This is the Октябрьское Hotel and the former Государственное общество призора, State Care Society. And that's where the definition Gopnik started, because the abbreviation for Государственное общество призора, it's GOP. So all the people who were here, they are Gopniks, and that was the place for difficult children. I was again making these separate videos about it. So that's where from Gopniks, real Gopniks of 1920s came from. Moskovsky Vokzal, Moscow railway station. Also, I was making the video about this, and there's already behind the Moskovsky railway station located my neighborhood. I filmed for you 2 days ago. You can check it out. My neighborhood, which is called Tsars. Tsars, like Tsar. It's not SARS. It's not C-A-R-S, but Tsars. Tsars, like emperors. Emperor's capital. Keep walking. Государственное общество призора, State Society Care. The teenagers, like shallow criminals, or just with a kind of difficult behavior. They were bringing them here. And then, in the Soviet times, it is turned to the hotel. Well, it was the hotel in the pre-revolutionary times. Then it turned to Государственное общество призора, State Society Care. And then after all, it turned to the hotel again, even in the Soviet days. Here is another canteen, Столовая number 1. I have filmed here. Now they only works for takeaway. Еда на вынос means takeaway. Еда на вынос, takeaway. The square before the Moskovsky railway station. It is called Moskovsky because for you to understand even from the name that from here you can get to Moskovsky, because several people were asking, so why Moskovsky in Saint Petersburg? Does it make sense? Yes, it makes sense. So from here you know for sure that from here you go in direction of Moscow. And guess where you're coming when you comes to Moscow? You're coming to Leningradsky railway station of Moscow. So it's really wise. It really makes sense. Oh, it's already, like I said, my neighborhood. Today it's a kind of sunny and warm day, plus 11 degrees Celsius, which is for a middle of April. It's pretty good, pretty good. The red numbers, that's diplomatic license plate. Bakery. It's only for takeaway as well. So normally you could sit there, just came and sit there to eat. Now you can just buy and go. Shawarma. Shawarma is pretty big in Saint Petersburg. And look, in Saint Petersburg, this is shawarma. Everywhere it's shawarma. And here this is shawarma. Or in Russian it sounds like shaverma. Shaverma. Or just simply shava. Shava. If you will come to Saint Petersburg, you definitely need to taste shava. Oh, let's go this way. Come on. This is already like the second part of Nevsky Prospect. You know, the thing is, Nevsky Prospect started to be constructed from both sides. At first, actually, it was started to be constructed, the roads, from Saint Trinity Alexander Nevsky Church by the monks. And then it started to be constructed from the Palace Square and Winter Palace. So this part is actually like an old Nevsky, and that part where I've been for the last like 40 minutes, that's new Nevsky. But now it's all united with the one name, just Nevsky Avenue. So that's why here is like a little curve starting from the Square of Revolt, from Plochett Восстания. There was actually an idea to try maybe to make it straight, but already back then they supposed it's gonna be pretty difficult and very expensive already back then. And now we have what we have. That's Sberbank. Sberbank, the biggest bank in Russia. Sberbank. It's from the word сберегательный, saving bank. And by the way, in this department, there inside is staying the monument to the first, how to say, the first investor. It means in terms of the first person who leave the money in a bank for a saving account. Beautiful, beautiful Saint Petersburg. It's Harrods, an Irish pub. I also filmed here inside an Irish pub where you can always get some Guinness. Especially it's good to come here for Guinness on Sunday. On Sundays they have a real good discounts. Now an intersection of Nevsky Prospect and Poltavskaya Street. Poltavskaya Street, and here is, you see there's the church. Well, maybe you don't see from here, but that's Fyodorovsky Cathedral, Fyodorovsky Собор, and that's where my neighborhood starts. But we will keep going just Nevsky. It's a Dixie store, grocery store. Not sure why they closed it. Now I look at the lady with the dog, and I just recalled that it makes sense to say that well, officially, all the people now on self-isolation mode are allowed only to go out for the grocery store, closest grocery store to where they live, to walk with a dog or with a pet, maybe any other pets, and to dump the trash. But we can see now here is actually many people are walking, and definitely not all of them are living close. Look, now this seems like the most luxury intersection of Nevsky Prospect, because staying here, the luxury stores are everywhere. Look, this is the Rolex, right? Rolex. There's Chanel. Here is Louis Vuitton. And here is Christian Dior. So Christian Dior, Rolex, Chanel, Louis Vuitton. So all these luxury stores are closed. If you're rich motherfuckers and you will come to Saint Petersburg, so you know where to come for some shopping, okay? It's a wonderful day. It's warm, no wind. It's a spring. It's a blooming of a spring. And the streets are empty. So you can enjoy like the air that is around you. But somehow, however, all the situation in the world never makes you happy, because yeah, like beautiful day, warm, you're walking and not even a lot of people, but the mood is so bad. Anyway, but this is something what is going to make us re-appreciate, revalue everything what we used to have before and what we were taking for granted. Now we understand that many simple things, which seems like really like simple things we got used to, they are really important. We are taking them for granted, but actually look, this event, unique event in the modern history, shows us that everything can be changed pretty quickly. Wonderful Saint Petersburg. Everywhere, no matter where you're looking at. Yandex Drive. The car sharings are not working until April 30th. At least until April 30th. All the traffic lights on Nevsky has the final countdown. And now in Russia it's like almost everywhere. It is almost everywhere. The final countdowns. So you know exactly, you know for sure how many time left until the change of the light. We are already in like about 3, maybe 200 meters from the very end or very beginning of Nevsky Prospect. Well, historically, this is the beginning of Nevsky, but by numbering, how to say correct in English? Well, by the numbers of the houses, this is the end, because the first numbers starts near the Palace Square. That's one of the schools in the central district of Saint Petersburg. School 169, if I'm not mistaken. The post office. It's, by the way, my post office. When I'm getting correspondence or parcels, I pick it up here. This is the entrance to Площадь Александра Невского, Alexander Nevsky Square metro station. Here we are at the very end or very beginning of Nevsky Prospect, and the square of Alexander Nevsky itself, with the monument to Alexander Nevsky. Here we are. And behind the Alexander Nevsky there's Saint Trinity Alexander Nevsky Church, Lavra. How to say, what is Lavra? Lavra is like a huge complex. It's a huge complex of the churches, of the like church schools and stuff like that. The cemeteries there. You see that fence? Behind that fence there's the cemetery, which is known as necropolis of art masters. There, in one place, the graveyards of Pyotr Tchaikovsky and Fyodor Dostoevsky. I was making the video about this as well. You can check it out. Actually, for the last 2 years, I have made maybe like 150 videos about Saint Petersburg. I hope you really enjoyed another video about the current situation here in Saint Petersburg. I filmed it with just one take, non-stop, so you can see that everything as it is, without any cuts. No fake, no bullshit. Real Russia. Sergei Baklykov, Saint Petersburg. See you. Comment, like, subscribe.